In this video, I will build together with you a company sales performance dashboard. During this video, I will share how to load data from Excel and transform data in Power Query. We will create measures and calculate columns using DAX, for example, the YOY growth rate, and we will use some aggregation functions. And we will also use some other decks such as lookup value, etc. We will build up visualizations for business insights. And last but not least, we will enhance the dashboard to be more aesthetic. Also, I will share the dataset in below description. Feel free to take it and practice as I share. For our first step, let's get familiar with data and let's load the data into Power BI and cleaning data. Here I have prepared the dataset in an Excel file. I will also share this later. And we have 4 tabs here. The first one is the main tab. In this tab, we record the date, which is actually the month. We record the date and the inventory subcategory, what the company sells, and the price by unit, the unit number, and the cost by unit, and the salesperson ID and the sales country. So from this tab, we can know what's the total sales by using this price unit multiply the unit. And since we also have the cost here, we can know the profit, which is using the price by unit minus the cost and multiply the unit numbers. And for the second tab, we have the inventory records, the inventory subcategory, and its related inventory main category. So we can look up this main category into this tab. We can know what's the sales like by every main category. But instead doing VLOOKUP here in the Excel, we will look the value up in the Power BI. And for the third tab, it records the salesperson's information, for example, the sales ID, sales first name and last name, and the sales team. They all go to market team by different countries. So we can link the salesperson's name into this main tab using the salesperson ID. But we also gonna do this in Power BI. Yeah. And the last one, we have the inventory target. This is the sales target by every subcategory by every month. So we wanted to match this monthly subcategory target into the actual sales here. So we can find that if every inventory subcategory reached the goal the company set on a monthly basis. The next step is to load the data into Power BI and cleaning data, which is also the data transform in Power Query. I have already opened a Power BI desktop version, and we can go to this transform data. In here, we go to new source, and we choose this Excel workbook. Then we can find this file and open it. And the 4 tabs pops up here. We are gonna choose all of them, so I select all of them and OK. So after I loaded, the all 4 tables will present on the left of the pane, which means that they are already loaded into the Power BI. And on the left, on the right, it shows some steps of the data transformation, for example, of the sales table. The first step is to import the data and is direct the data into these tables, into the sales table, into the sales sheet. And then you can see that the title is not represented as the real title here. So it automatically promoted headers. Now the title in Excel is the title in Power BI. And then it's change type. You can open here to find what has changed. For example, the name are changed into text and the sales ID are changed into integer. And you can see that the table is not clean up enough. There are blank rows and the blank columns. To clear up the blank rows, we can click on anywhere on the title, we go to remove rows and we click on this remove blank rows. And now they are removed. And to clear the blank columns, we can choose on what we wanted to have. And we can go to remove columns, remove other columns. So now the table is super clean and clear. We can move to next table to do the data transformation. For this one, the table looks okay. And we can check the data type here. This is the decimal type, which is good because this is price. You can have digit in the price. And this is the unit is integer. This is integer and the sales ID is also integer. We can actually change this to text because this is not like real numbers, is an ID for the salesperson. But since in the sales sheet it records the salesperson information is also numbers, I think we can leave all of them to be numbers because if we wanted to do like lookup value, it has to be the same data type. For example, all be text or all be numbers. And we can check the move on to the next table, which is the inventory target. And this is text, this is date, and this is decimals, which looks okay. And for the inventory, we can see that the title is not the Power BI title yet, so we can click on this use first row as headers. And now it looks very clean, and you can see here there is promoted headers here. Okay, so all the data looks fine here, and they have a really clear name, inventory target, main, and sales. We can go on with this close and apply. So all the changes will be applied to the data set. And it is loading. After you applied all the changes, it will bring you to this main view, which is the report view. And if you open up all the panes in here, you can find on the most right pane, it shows all the data tables, and you can have all the fields listed in here. You can also quickly, for example, if you have too many tables, you can quickly find it by type the keywords that you wanted to have. And then you have this visualization. This is where you select all the visuals, for example, the table, the stacked bar chart, the line chart, the donut chart, and so much more. And this is the filters pane. You can add filters on this page, which is this one. And you can add another page, and you can also add filters here on all the pages. And on the most left here, the first one, it gives you different views. First, the first one is the report view, which is what we are right now, and the second one is the table view. You can have all the tables here. Look into the data behind. It gives you all the numbers. And the last one is the model view. It helps you to build models across different tables. And after you load the data, the Power BI will automatically give you connections between the tables. I might change it later, but I will not do any changes now. If it needed later in the visualization build up, I will change it here. We can start to build up visualizations. For most of the dashboard I build, I tend to put on top several filters and some high-level summary cards. So when the end users use it, they can firstly filter all the conditions they wanted to know and have a glance of the high-level summary of the performance. The next session, I'd like to put like numbers by timeline, by category, and so on. This is the part where it can give more insight through visualizations. And in the last part, I always put details into tables or metrics so that the end users can deep dive if they find some outliers through the visualization chart. But if the performance all look fine, they might not want to deep dive into the tables to look all the redundant numbers. So I always put them in the last part. However, this is the structure that I really like and I use for like 80% of the time. But to decide what structure to use is always depend on what the project look like. Now let's start to build up the visualization. First, I'm gonna give it a title, insert textbook. Company sales performance dashboard and put it in the middle of the box and enlarge it a bit. Then I want you to put this into the slicers. Slicers work as a filter. It helps you to restrict the numbers. For example, to see the number by a certain salesperson. And then I want you to put all of this into separate slicers. And I find one thing to be very difficult. For example, I have all the metrics in this main table, the price, the cost, and I can calculate the profit. But in this table, we only have sales ID, and the ID and its related sales name and the sales team are in another table. There are two ways to do this. The first way is that we can look up value, which is like a VLOOKUP in Excel, to look up this sales team into this main table through the sales ID. For example, we can try again. I just create a column here and I give it a name, sales team. And I can use lookup value and it gives you hint. The first one is the result column and the result column to be sales team. Search column, the search column, we will search this sales ID because I have the sales ID in this one, so we can look this into this column to find the sales team. And the last one is the search value. We want you to search the sales ID. And then now we have the sales team here, but a more simple way is in this model view. For example, we have this main table here, and the Power BI automatically connect the sales team and the main team with this sales ID. So we can actually, I want you to give it like this. So we can clearly see that these three tables control this table. The sales team and the sales name are not in this table, but through the sales ID, the first name, last name, and the team can flow from this data field to this one, and the sales name and the sales team are connected to the sales ID. And if Power BI did not automatically help you connect these two tables, you can always, for example, I deleted it. And you can always click on this sales ID and drag it to this sales ID here. And the relationship here is one to many because the sales ID in this table is unique, but there are many to this table. So this is the correct one and the safe. And there is a little arrow here, meaning this table controls this table. And then we can now know the sales team because the sales team control the main table through the sales ID. But we only have the sales first name and the sales last name here. However, we want you to put the sales name into the slicer. So there is a more step to clean up the data. I create a new column. A new column is like a tag of each row. It's work like a data cleaning tool. For example, I gave it a sales name and I want you to concatenate this one and this one so it's a full name. I can use this and symbol, first name, and I want you to give a space because there are space between the first name and last name, and then the last name. So we have a full name here, and then I want you to put the sales name sales name into here. And I want to change the type. In these visualizations, we have this format view visuals. It gives you many different functions for the different charts. For the slicers, we have this slicer setting, and I want it to be a drop-down list. So you can click through the drop-down list. And I want you to open this search function so that you can type a name here. And this is not looking very aesthetical, so I want you to format it a little bit. We go to this general, the effect. I want it to open a visual border and have a rounded corner with 20 pixels. And then I want you to give it a slight color. Yeah, looking like this looks good. And also I do not want to this slicer header. I want it to have a data title named salesperson and put it into the middle. Now it looks good. Yeah, and you can search the value here. For the next one, I want you to have the sales team. The sales team. Yeah, you can see that I just copy and paste these slicers because I already formatted. I do not want to do this repeatedly. So after I finalize the format that I want, I can just copy and paste. But remember to change the titles. Sales team. And then there are 3 more: country, inventory, category, and 3 more, and we do not have enough space here, so I click on a blank space on anywhere of the canvas, and we go to this format your report page, canvas setting, custom. I want to give a height of 1000 for now, and the width of, yeah, this looks good, and then I can put it here. But for the name, I want to give it sales country. You can type the keywords here. And the next one to be the inventory. Inventory subcategory. Even in the main, should be in the main. And the next one to be the sales month. The month is the date. And always remember to change the name. This is sales country. And this is the inventory category. And this is the month. I just realized that we have an inventory main category and this is a subcategory. So I wanted to have 2 levels. And as I said, the main category is in another table in here, and the main table do not have a main category. So we can use the model view here, and we can use the inventory subcategory to connect it to the main, use this inventory subcategory. So this main category is automatically flow to here and can find its subcategory accordingly. And then since they are all connected, I put a subcategory from the main, but I can also drag the inventory main category into here, which concludes main through the subcategory. So we can have 2 levels, the clothes and the sneakers under clothes, and the housing inventory have lamp and a water bottle. Yeah, and the last one is the month. I realize it's not a very clear way to see. It's a long date, so I want you to format it a bit. If we check the data here, we can find the date it has this redundant long date format, and I wanted to give it a short date. And I realized that we have a month here, but we do not have a year. I wanted to have a year like for the 12 month in 2021. I wanted to have a year like 2021 January 1st. So I can create a column here. Year, and I will use the date function, the date text. The date is format 3 numbers into year, month, and day, and the year to be the year of the date. Should be this one. This is to extract the year of the column date here. So for example, in this row, it will extract the 2021, and I actually just need to drag the year of every date. So for the month and date, I wanted to keep it as the first day. So I will give it 100 and 100, and I wanted to give it a date, a short date format. So now we can have 4 years, 2021 to 2024. And then I wanted to have the year be the first level of these slicers, so we can find the year first and find the month. Actually, I don't think I will need number from this far. I just want to see numbers of these recent 3 years. So I think I will restrict the whole dashboard to be only 2022 to 2023. Now we can see the slicer change from 2022, and this I want to have these 5 slicers to be horizontally aligned. We can go to format, align horizontally. Yeah, so they are spread even in this canvas, and for this one I want it to be in the most middle place of the canvas. Yeah. Enough with the filters and the slicers, we can move on to the summary cards. These are the 5 metrics that I want to put them under here as a high-level summary. The salesperson, how many salesperson does the company have right now? The sales countries, how many countries has the company extend its business to? The sales dollars and the cost dollars and the profit dollars. The profit can be calculated by minus the cost from the sales dollars. And then let's create our first card with the card visuals here, and I can drag the salesperson into here. The sales ID represents the salesperson, and the Power BI gives you simple aggregation functions. Through here, I can choose the count distinct to find the numbers of the salesperson. If you have ever write any SQL SQL, we always select the distinct number of anything. This is the same logic. We find the distinct count of stuff, and this is the most simplest way to do this aggregation, but we can also do it in another way to create a measure here. Let's do it in the table view. We have this main table. I can create a new measure. A measure in Power BI is like an aggregated value. You can like sum up the volume minus the value, product, or divide the value. You can also count the values. For example, the salesperson count. We can distinct count, not count, but distinct count to find the unique values. And it lets you count the column name, for example, the sales ID, main sales ID. So we can find the unique number of the sales ID, which is also the unique number of the salesperson. We can see that it shows up in here with a symbol of a calculation, meaning it's a calculated measure. And then we can check a bit if we correct it correctly. I create another card and I drag the salesperson, which I just created, into it, and it's also the 12. So we are doing it correctly. And I also wanted to format it a little bit. I want to give this like the category label, but give it a title of salesperson count. And I want it to enlarge the font because the high-level summary is also super important. Maybe 28, yeah. And I wanted to give it a background of light blue and give a transparency of 16. So the color is not too deep. I think it looks okay now, but I still wanted to give it a visual border of the same color with a 20 pixels rounded corner to align with the filters here. Now they're aligned and they also have the aligned width. Then I'm gonna drag the sales countries into here. We can simply drag the countries and count distinct of the countries. Don't forget to change the title. And for the next three, I'm gonna copy and paste three of them for the sales, cost, and the profit. I wanted to change the name firstly. However, do not forget that we actually do not have total sales, cost, and the profit. We only have, in this main table, we only have cost by unit, price by unit. And to have the total sales, which is also the price, we can multiply the price by unit and the unit. To achieve that, we can create a new column. The reason why I'm not creating a measure here is because that the price by unit and unit is recorded on every row on the month and the subcategory. We can also calculate the total unit, the total sales and the total cost by this every row, like by every month and by every category. And then to sum up the whole column, we get total sales is equals to price by unit multiply the unit. I'm copying it right now to make the next steps more easier. And we can also create the total cost here. I'm just copy and paste the formula into here, cost by unit and the main unit. And for the total profit, is the total sales minus the total cost. So when we sum up these columns or these columns or these columns, we actually got the total sales for like the whole month. And I wanted to convert them to the currency format and have the 0 decimal places. And this for the same. And the same for this one. So now we can simply drag the columns. We can simply drag the columns into here. Cost, the total cost, and the total profit. And the Power BI automatically help us sum the numbers. For this one, I wanted to have 1 decimal places because we are not sure that what's the exact number. Here it is. We go to format visuals, visual call out value, and I wanted decimal places to be 1. And the several checkpoint we can check here is that the cost and the profit should be adds up to this number, and which looks like it is. So I think we are doing it correctly. And I wanted to test if all the filters are set correctly. For example, I want to filter on the year 2023, and these two numbers did not change, but let's see. Yeah, but I think like for every year we have the same number here, but these three numbers are changed, and then these two numbers also add up to this number, so I think we are doing it correctly. This selected this one and find another filter. For this person, these two number change. He or she is one salesperson and sells to 6 countries and have this sales cost and the profit. Okay, so these are set up correctly. And I wanted to mention that for the cells, we drag the columns and the Power BI help us automatically sum up the values. But we can also create a measure to sum the values. The approach is to find this table, create a new, we can sum up the total sales. This is a column, we can sum up this column. So we can got the total sales measure. You can in a measure you can also like count, distinct counts, minus, product, and divide. And I wanted to check if I create the measure correctly. I create another card and I drag the total sales measure into it, and it is equal to this number, so it is a correct way to create a measure. For the next part, I want to add more beautiful visualizations to help us find more insights. There are 4 charts that I wanted to build up. First is a donut chart. I wanted to see the metrics, for example, the profit by category, like how many of the shares is contributed by every category, and the category can be sliced into the main category and the subcategory. Let's start with this one. First I create a donut chart. And after you create a visualization, in the visualization pane in these build visuals, it gives you these boxes to fill in values and legend. For example, the value here I want to check is the profit. I wanted to see the profit by like every category, so I drag the total profit, which I built up in like 1 minute ago, and I drag the total profit into the values, and I want it to slice and dice by the category. Firstly, I wanted to add the subcategory from the same table because all metrics are from the main table. Then we can see it looks like this. And actually, you can see that there's blank here, meaning that it can be added more dimension. And I wanted to add it a main category. And I can just drag the main category into here. Because remember, as I just said, because we have built this model relationship, like this main category is related to this table because these two tables are connected via this subcategory. So I can just drag the main category into this table and to put it on top of the subcategory. Then we can have these visuals. It looks not very clear and not very aesthetical, but let me enhance a little bit. For example, firstly I want to change the title to be profit with a dollar sign by, I'm not saying by main category or subcategory because there are 2 levels, by categories, and put it into the table. And I do not want this legend here because it takes up a lot of space. And then I want to have the detailed table, the label content be all details labels. Yeah, so we can have the categories, the absolute value, and the shares contribution. And I want it to be a little bit bigger. We can drag it to be more big. And then for the percentage decimal places, I want it to be 0, and the value decimal places to be 0, and the display unit, I think the automatic value is okay. And then we can find that you may be confused that where is the subcategory is actually hidden in this drill down and the drill out button. You can click on this one, expand all down one level in the hierarchy, and then you can find the subcategory and its absolute value and the contribution shares. I think how about this one? Yeah, I think I'm gonna stay in this tab, and I want you to format the colors. This is all the colors that I came up with. You can go to this format visuals and go to slices, colors to change each one. And I have also changed color in the upper level. I'm gonna stay. Now we are running out of space again, so I'm gonna change the canvas to be 2000. And for the next chart, I want you to have a bar chart to show the absolute value by category. And I want you to have the actual and the target numbers side by side, so I can see that for every category, if the actual sales reach the goals. To achieve that, I'm going to create a clustered column chart. And firstly, I'm going to drag the total sales, total actual sales to the y-axis. This is the total sales, but I want it to slice and dice by the category. So I'm going to drag the subcategory from May into here. Then we have this absolute value by every category. And then we have also have the target sales. So I want you to drag the target sales into here. This is what happened after I drag the target cells into here. All the target cells represent the same number, and it's very weird and it's clearly wrong. The reason why this happens is that the legend I put here, the dimension to slice and dice, is from this main table, the subcategory. However, the numbers in this inventory target table, it doesn't know how many of the targets to attribute to the subcategory in this table. We should find a category that can control this table and can also control this table, that it can control these two tables at the same time. So the target in this table and the actual sales in this table can at the same time be sliced and diced by the category. This is the time when we check this model again. We already know that the main table can be sliced by the inventory table here through this inventory subcategory, and if we check this relation, we find the inventory target can also be sliced by this inventory table through this inventory subcategory. This relationship is also automatically connected by the Power BI. So we have the result now that this table can control these two tables at the same time. So let's change the legend here from the main table to this inventory table. And we can also add two dimensions here. Yeah, and then we can see that here represents the subcategory and here represents the main category. And we can actually just see the subcategory by this parallel go to next level in the hierarchy, and this is the result. So we can find that for every category, the actual sales underperform the target sales. What's more, I somehow think the absolute value is not actually clear enough. I wanted to have an actual versus target ratio, which means like for this basketball category, maybe the actual sales achieve like maybe 80% of the target. So I wanted this 80% to show up in here. So we can create a measure which is called the actual versus target ratio. And since this table he can control the main table and the inventory target table, I'm gonna create a table in here because this measure is also gonna slice and dice by the category here. Actual versus target ratio, and it would be sum total sales. This is the actual sales divided by the target sales target in here. The measures will not show up here, only the columns will show up here, but we can drag the actual sales to this chart. And I realized that this clustered column chart cannot fulfill my request. I have to change it to this line and the clustered column chart because it gives us a line y-axis. It's like a second y-axis that I can drag in the actual and target ratio. And then this is the ratio we had. First of all, I wanted to change it to be a percentage. And with 0 decimal places. So now we got the whole package. The next step is to format this chart to be more visual appealing. First of all, I noticed that the actual versus target, the second line, y-axis start from 60%, which is kind of confusing. I wanted to start from the 0 and the minimum point to be 100%. And the next step, I wanted to add data labels. And first of all, I wanted to change the line color to be this green, and the 3 pixels looks fine. And then I want you to change the color of the lines and make it larger. So we can know that the green line matches with the green data table. But for data labels, but for other two data labels, I want it to have like a gray and the 14 font, and the sum of total cells also gray. Okay. And I do not want to have it have a background. For the sum of total cells, also close the background. Yeah, it looks like more clear now, and I don't think I need this y-axis title. And for the values, I want it to be 14, 12, 12. And for the y-axis, I do not need the title, and I want the value to be 12 also. Right, and then for the legend, I want to keep all of them, but I want to change the name here. It's not like sums of total sales, sum of target sales. I want you to keep it as actual, and this would be target. So I want to keep it as simple as I can, actual versus target. And I want to enlarge the legend to be also 14. For the title, and close the green line. For the title, I wanted to name it actual sales versus target by product categories. So in this way, target by product category. So in this way, the end users know that the actual and target sales represents the sales actual and the sales target. I replaced them a little bit, and I wanted to add a divider between these two charts. I'm gonna insert a line and go to style, rotation. I'm gonna give it a right angle, and I now can add add it in here and change the color to be style. Change the color border. I might change it to be gray. Okay, for the next part, I wanted to add a timeline trend chart which represents the sales value, the profit value, and the YOY by month. First of all, I'm gonna add this stack column. I'm gonna add this stack column chart, and in here, for this chart, I'm gonna add the month, which is represent as date here in the main tab in this axis, and this is a hierarchy that Power BI represents, but we do not have date here, and I just want it to be shown as a month date, and either add a total sales into this y-axis. The numbers start from 2022, but I don't think I need that long, so I'm gonna click on this table and find the date here and use this advanced filtering is on or after. I'm gonna restrict it to be on after January the 1st in 2023 and apply filter. Now the numbers start from 2023 and I'm gonna format it. And this is after I formatted, and here comes the important part that I do not want to have this like bare chart. I want to have a YOY shows on top of it, like a monthly YOY. How is the performance of like this month compared to the same month of last year? And this is where I create a measure which I give a name as YOY, sales YOY ratio. Just before I start to write the YOY ratio DAX, I just want to share several ways to write a DAX writer formula. For example, the first method is what we usually use for the sales YOY equals to this year's sales divided by last year's sales and minus 1, which we will get a ratio like 4%, 3%, something like that. And in this method, the this year's sales or this month sales is kind of easy. You can just sum up the total sales. But for the last year's sales, it will be relatively more complicated. For example, you have to restrict like is the same month of the last year, is like not the current month. So it could be composed of several functions and it could be complicated. So here's another simple way to write the text. The content might not be really simpler, but it will be more readable. This is the sales worldwide ratio name. We give it to the measure we created, and then we give two variables. We set variable A is the name of this variable to be this year's sales, and it might be the sum of total sales. And we give a variable B is also the name to the last year's sales. We will write the function here, and then we will just return A divided by B minus 1. So in this way, it's more readable, and if there's anything wrong with your text, it might be easier to debug and change the formulas here. So let's get back to the formula here. I do not want to write this year's sales and last year's sales in a simple row. I wanted to set up different variables. I'm gonna set the variable A equals to some total sales. I give two dash to comment out the comment this year's sales, or this should be this month's sales. I do not have to restrict this to be like current month or which month, because in this table it's gonna slice and dice by this every month. So when I put this into here, for every month it shows the sales by that month, and the second variable to be B, which is the last year sales. So in here, I'm going to introduce another text, which is the calculate. Calculate also always used together with an aggregated function. It's like a put and restriction on the aggregated value, put and filter. For example, when I sum up the total sales, I wanted to have a restriction that it only shows the sales of the last year's same month. It's not like the current month. And also you can see the hint it gives here. After you type the calculate, you first of all input an expression, which in our case is the sum, and then you add filter 1. You can also add filter 2, filter 3, and so on. So my first filter is that I want to use the function same period last year. So it lets you give it a date, and I'm gonna give it the date from the main table. The reason why I'm going to give it this date is because this chart is sliced by this date from the main table. So when the numbers goes into, like for example, this October 2024, the same period last year, direct the numbers to be October 2023. So now I think we have the variable A and B. This month sales, last year same month sales. And then we can return A divided by B minus 1. After this is created, then we can drag it into the chart. And again, we cannot use this stacked column chart because there is no second y-axis to put in more values. We have to change to this line and a stacked column chart. Now we can add y into this place, line y-axis, the second y-axis. And you can see that this line is really strange, is weird, it's clearly wrong. The reason why this happens is that if we check the numbers here, for example, I change it into a table and I remove this, it shows infinity. This is wrong is because that for the same period last year, next to work, you have to remove all other time filters. The way to resolve this issue is to add an all function here to filter all the years. This function is to remove the filters of this one and include all the data here. And after we correct the formula, it looks correct now. And then I'm going to again format it. So now this is the result after I formatted, and now I also add a profit trend by month. It's the same as this one, but with profit. We can actually check the data a little bit. For example, if we check the December in 2024, the profit is around 15K. And if we go to December in 2023, the profit is around 30K. So this minus 54% of YY growth looks correct. And then for the last part, I want you to add a details table that for root cause deep dive. I want you to add a table here. I want to have a view of sales and the profit and the cost by every salesperson. So I'm gonna add, actually I think I wanted to add the sales team and the salesperson. So I can have the sales team of this one, sales team, and the sales name, which is the salesperson. And then I wanted to have the total, I think I'm gonna look like this. I want you to have the absolute value of their total sales, total profit, total cost, and I want you to know how many each of them contributed to the total sales of the company. And I want you to add another profit and another cost. In this way, I can show the value here. I click on this arrow here, show value as percent of grand total. So we can know that, for example, the first one, Dave Jackson, contribute the most of the company's total sales. And also show value as the grand total. Show value as the grand total. Total sales share. This looks okay, and I want you to actually want you to yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it. And this is how I format it. And last but not least, I want to give some cell elements to the data bars. For example, into this cell element, I want to give some element to the sales contribution in these data bars. I might values only, lowest value. The lowest value would be 0 and the highest value would be 1 because they all add up to 100%, so it must fall between 0 and 1. And the positive bar, I want to give it like an orange, and negative bar to be blue. And the same with the cost. Custom to be 1 and the same with profit. So in this way, we can clearly see how many did every sales contribute to the company's total, cost and profit and sales. So as of now, we are actually done with this dashboard, and there are some final touch we can do. For example, we can check some numbers. Let's see, the sales here is around 161K, and the number here matches with the number here. And so does the cost. Filter the sales country here for Mexico. And all this number changed, and this number changed. This is 177 matches with the number here, so it's correct. And I want you to filter on month, for example, to filter on only 2024. And this chart change. These two charts I actually do not want them to change because this is for like check the timeline trend. So I wanted to always show the monthly trend. To make this happen, I want you to click on this filter, go to format, in edit interactions, and I close these two. So in this way, so these two visuals now will not be affected by the filter here. Then I click on it again and exit the edit interaction. And one another thing to mind is that the target here looks particularly high. It seems like it did not change as the month changed. The reason why this happens is because that the date here, the month here is the month from the main table. However, we have the target here from the inventory target table. The date here is not the same as the date here from the main table. So to address this issue, we have to create a date table that can control both the date from this target table and from this main table. The way to achieve this is that we can create a new table here. And I might call it the date table. And I will use the distinct. It let us fill in the column name or table expression. I will fill in the column name, which is the date. I think I'm gonna use this date here. So I have a date from 2021 January to December 2024, and I will format it to be short date. And to let this table control the other two tables, I will modify in the model view here, and I will connect this date to the date here. One to many, this is correct. And I use the date to also connect to the date here. So now this date table controls the actual sales table and the target sales table. And I will use the date table here to put it here. And then after I for example filter December 2024, the target here also changes. And this shows also the December 2024 numbers. So now we are done with this dashboard. Hope this can help you with some questions in building a Power BI dashboard. And please let me know if you have any questions.